I used to believe there was only one path for me, and that was engineering leadership. And for a while, I followed that path like it was etched in stone until one day I realized that belief was limiting me. And eventually I left corporate and I started my coaching business. And this conversation today with my guest, Elizabeth Stephens, hit me so hard. She shattered every mold possible. She served in the Marine Corps. She's the first Black woman to pilot two models, CH-46E and MV-22 Osprey. She's a combat veteran, and then she switched her career and path, and she's a former director at Microsoft. She's now a fierce cybersecurity CEO, protecting families through tech and AI. But this episode isn't just about her resume, it's about the silent burnout creeping back as flexibility erodes. It's about why DEI is not dead and it's mission critical, why women, veterans, and marginalized voices can thrive in this messy moment, and the three things every woman needs to do right now to stay empowered. Hi everyone, if you don't know me, if you're new to this show, nice to meet you. My name is Limor Bergman Gross. I'm the host of From a Woman to a Leader, and this is a podcast to help you, women in tech, to thrive. And every week we bring real, raw, and powerful conversations to help you grow as a leader without compromising who you are. And if you ever felt dismissed, stuck, or like the system isn't built for you, this episode will fire you up, open your eyes, and remind you you're not alone, you're not too much, and it's never too late to lead with purpose. So stay with me, tap play, and you'll thank me later. Are you ready? Let's dive right in. Hi, Elizabeth. Welcome. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing today?
I'm pretty good. Very excited to have you here today with me and to talk about a lot of important stuff. And I wanted to start maybe by talking about, in our pre-call, we started talking about what is the current kind of work environment is, especially for women, especially during the current economy where a lot of people are being laid off. So can you share, your perspective of kind of where women are at right now, facing like the economy and layoffs and what have you?
So I feel like right now is a very specific time for women, especially in the workplace. Right now, we've got a time where they're recalling the options of being able to work from home. Some of the things that we saw because of the COVID epidemic, the adaptability, the flexibility, our ability to not just level up but increase from a productivity perspective. All of those things enabled women and minorities, honestly, to enter into the workforce in ways that they hadn't in the past. From a perspective of the US specifically, we were able to keep up with, if not surpass, some of the demand signal because we had new burgeoning workforce that was inaccessible in the past. Now, today, the return from work means that there's not going to be a lot of that flexibility and adaptability. The change in some of the policies around discrimination and the new direction from our current administration, as well as some of the revamps that are happening based on the political change. All of these things mean that those of us that were fighting the good fight to make our way in the world are now, again, going to have to continue to fight the good fight. This time, I believe, nothing significant has changed. But for us, to be successful and to thrive, I believe that we're going to need each other and our communities more
Yeah,
than ever.
for sure. And I want to start with the flexibility, as you mentioned, because I am a big proponent of remote work. And I actually started working remote even before COVID in 2016. And
Mm-hmm.
that changed dramatically my life, to be honest, because I have 4 children and I was able to be present as a mother to them. I had the flexibility if I had to go to school to attend whatever celebrations they were having or different events while still working and growing my career. So for me, it was really impactful, the change to work fully remote.
Yeah.
How was that for you? Are you have you experienced? Oh,
So I have a very unique perspective on working remotely. I came
mm-hmm.
out of my first adult job was the United States military. And so for me, deploying long hours, being on base, following what the organization and the company wanted me to do was a part of the job. When I joined what I finally call First Div, the benefit of being able to work remotely was that one, I did get to spend that time with my kids. The sacrifices that I'd made, that I'd even fought for, I now get to benefit from. Working remotely isn't just about ease or comfort for me. It's actually about survival. Being able to access and engage with my kiddos during the day is absolutely essential. Being able to respond to their school messages, being able to respond to my own hospital messages, being able to take that time and be as flexible as possible also allows me to do some of the things that I wouldn't have thought that I wanted to do for a company, which is what I did for the Marine Corps. That telephone was on 24/7 because that's what our life was like. The Marine Corps enabled me, so I was able to enable them. Now,
Yeah,
I don't know that we'll be able to have that anymore. That enablement and empowerment is exactly the kind of thing that allowed us, again, to be propelled forward. It's going to
yeah,
be
and
problematic
and I
for
think
us.
yeah, and I think that this is something I want to emphasize. It's not just related to us as women and mothers, but it affects pretty much everyone, right? I mean, it affects men as well. Maybe women more so because a lot of times we are the main caregiver and we support our children. But also men, it affects their life and their flexibility and ability to support their families. And what is your perspective of it? So what do you think should be done if it was up to you?
So, what do I think should be done
Yeah. With
to
regards to
fix?
remote work or
Oh my
hybrid or
goodness.
flexibility in the
I
workplace.
believe that, like, while I understand what they want to happen and why they likely want to push for returning to the office, I feel that the one thing that we've learned in the last couple of years is that our efficiency and productivity is through the roof. Now, you did say it affects men as well. I want to say that, like, the number one group of people for me are veterans that have been able to take advantage of this, not just from a perspective of coming and going, being away from the main office and being able to come back, but for some of us, being able to decompress in our own space and time allows for us to be much more effective. Some of these outside opportunities have nothing to do with our gender. They actually have to do with our ability to be neurotypical or neurodiverse, which is exactly why I think now's the time that we have to lean in for all of our communities.
Yeah, and you mentioned a lot of communities. So when you say lean into our communities, what do you mean?
Oh, I mean, 100%. We need to be talking to each other. We need to be talking to the experts that we would recommend and refer to each other. If you have a business or you have a problem, we should be engaging with those of us who know each other and understand what we do. There shouldn't be a single time where someone opens up or has to open up a phone book. I know I just showed my age. Open up a phone book or get on Google and search for a resource that could help them with, in my case, cyber and AI education. In another case, learning how to be a chief of staff. In another case, how to run a podcast. These are all the things that we should be able to do for each other. And not just that, though, times like these, when some of the resources that we have leaned on or thought we were going to be able to lean on have been taken away, we need to be able to lean on each other. One of the best examples I have today is that one of the ladies down the road has a child that needs an AAC, an assistive technology device to speak, right? The going through the insurance, which I know is globally different, going through the insurance here, it's about a $7,500 device,
Wow.
$7,500.
Wow.
Okay. This device is effectively an iPad mini, the software itself, and then a case. The iPad mini plus the software does not come up to $1,500. And the case is awesome, but it's not $6,000 awesome. And so that kind of thing, because there's other people around, can go, hey, look, this is not how much that should cost. Let's see what we can do, get together as a group, use some of our, I want to say shared equity, but like leveraging our skill sets to do this for our communities. Because right now, productivity, efficiency, and honestly, I hate to say it, but it's about being conservative but also being thrifty.
Yeah, absolutely. So, absolutely, you're saying lean into the community and kind of use the shared power and support each other for sure.
Mm-hmm. For sure. For
Yeah.
sure. And then encourage the community themselves to use the technology or the thought leadership. The new technology is always going to be at the forefront because for me, it's people, process, and tools, right? If we can empower the people and they know their processes, we can make those processes better. Any technology is going to accelerate us. But right now, there's so many changes, so many people who are unsettled that it's absolutely essential to remind everyone that the only thing that we need to do to win right now is to keep moving forward. So if we can move together, we can move fast, we can be efficient, and we can take care of one another no matter what. That's always been our strength and it always will be. And so that's what I think we should be doing right about now.
For sure. And what's your message for employers? Because we talked about flexibility. We haven't yet touched about the DEI changes that are going to happen. And we'll touch that soon, but I want to ask you, like, regarding the flexibility, working remote or hybrid, what's your message to employers? What do you think they should do?
If you are an employer and you're looking for exceptional resources, I would recommend that you continue to seek diverse talent in diverse places. Return to work may mean a certain level of success around a metric that you believe is going to be successful for you. But the people that are in high demand right now, to include your cyber experts, your developers, and your thought leaders, they need a bit more space. And there's a lot more of them out there. Unfortunately, the ones that you have already are halfway burned out. So unless you're willing to invest in the delay that will be required to onboard new people, you're going to lose people in the transition anyway. That's what I would say.
Yeah, and I would say be open-minded and trust the people that they are responsible. I think a lot of that stems from mistrust, like that people will not do the work if they're not being watched. I've experienced that myself, right? I had been in scenarios that I was forced to come to an office, or I had a manager that forced me to come to an office because they said, well, I have to, even when I was a leader, like you have to be there and kind of make sure you supervise people. So it's kind of a lack of trust a lot of times. And also the thinking that people don't work as hard if they're not in an office.
I would say, I mean, that's a huge misnomer, right? People will work best when they are in their most appropriate flow state, which sometimes is not in the office. There's many reasons that people are actually uncomfortable in an office. For a lot of people, there's safety in having the conversation be a two-way with a screen between us. Some of that is the benefit of that is that we're able to engage with so many more people, so many more people can communicate from a comfort zone that they haven't been able to in the past. I mean, for some companies, there will be issues with people leaving because they're used to the level of freedom that they've had. They've moved their houses, they've adjusted for the flexibility of not having to deal with the traffic.
Yeah.
Those same people are just as talented and as skilled as they were before. Are you willing to drop that return on investment just to bring them back into a building? If so, I think I know a couple of other companies that might want to talk to some of the people that you let go.
Yeah.
Just a few.
Yeah, absolutely. And what's your take on this kind of, I don't know if how to even call it, the ban on DEI, or like that companies shouldn't have investment in DEI?
Oh, so for me, DEI is diversity. So I prefer diversity, inclusion, and belonging. So D&I with the B. So DIB.
Yeah, DIB.
Yep, DIB. It is and always has been just performance improvement, right? So in order for a team to be exceptional, they need to recognize their differences. In order for an airplane to run, you need different skill sets as well as different weaknesses and strengths so that the entirety of the team can work. This is what's made us successful in just about everything that we've ever done. So whether you call it diversity and inclusion, whether you call it high performance mindset, whether you call it the Marine Corps way, it is always going to benefit us to understand who we are as a people, to understand what that means from a human factors perspective, and to ensure that we focus on reality and not perception, because that's what's gonna make the difference between us and those that we fight against. Is that helpful?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Yeah, I think that diversity. So, first of all, having diverse opinions definitely, I mean, it's important and brings, as you said, open mindedness and a lot of great ideas and help businesses thrive. But also a sense of belonging, as you said, being inclusive is important. And it's not just for women, but in general, because in the US, I always, I was always asked, like, how was it like for me to work with Americans? And I was saying, what is an American? What do you refer to as American? Because there's so many people from different backgrounds. Some of them are expats. Some of them were born in the US. They're coming from families who came from different countries and different cultures. So what is an American? So, and that's why I feel like it's so important to still continue investing in diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging, to make sure that every person, no matter man, woman, one, no matter what's their color, no matter what's their religion, no matter what culture they come from, they feel like they belong. What is your take on that? What do you think?
Oh, no, I believe wholeheartedly it's absolutely essential that if you are an American, that you're treated like an American. Um, One of the most important parts of who we are as a country is that we bring all kinds of differences to the table. Um, I don't think that anywhere else you could see the kind of beef stew that we've become and still be as successful as we are. Um, my hope is that Americans everywhere are proud to say that they're American. Some of us have fought for that, whether that's in question now or not. Um, I don't know, but it doesn't actually matter because the reality of it is right now we're in a time where all of us, every single one of our voices matter. And that's what we have to honor. We do what we need to do, we do the right things, and the right things will happen. But that means that all of us need to stand up and do what's right together.
Yeah. Yeah. And I would say that companies need to realize that no matter what I call it, it's not going to go away, right? They're going to have people from different backgrounds, and if they just ditch all the programs that they had or all the support that they had for the EIB, then they are basically going to create an environment, or they are risking having an environment where people don't feel comfortable. Certain people will not feel comfortable.
So I feel as if like part of the issue is that I don't know that anyone have actually ever felt comfortable. There's some
Hmm.
people that do, I'm sure, but there's a large group of people who don't actually know what that comfort level is. And so I think as a culture, um, and as a nation, once we embrace like who we are, and once everyone becomes okay with that, then we can start moving in the direction of better. I think right now we're stuck in a place where actually I don't know that we're stuck at all. I think right now a lot of people are being forced to hold and sit with the accountability of what it means and how precarious our situation is. Democracy is an amazing thing, but so is capitalism. So a lot of what some of us are waking up to is that our responsibility and accountability has led us here. And so I don't think that this is a horrible place to be in. I think that the companies that are standing up and recognize the value of diversity and inclusion are companies that have recognized that performance is a thing that you want to hold on to, especially going forward. And with the way that our new organization, or the new American government is organizing, they want efficiency, they want productivity, they want oversight, which means that everything that we're doing right now to be right and to keep things above board is exactly what they're looking for. And without that level of diversity, without that level of thought, I mean, the administration itself is very different, uh, very new in its own way, different than it was the first time around, as a matter of fact. So, from that perspective, right now, again, this is about all of us doing our part and accepting the responsibility. Yes, none of us are going to go to jail for not voting like in some other countries, but all of us will feel the weight of not taking action and not doing what we feel is right.
For sure. I completely agree with you. And I wanted to ask you another thing. You mentioned earlier, you mentioned burnout, right? And I think you mentioned that in regards to kind of the flexibility or inflexibility of the environment.
Mm-hmm.
So can you share a little bit about that?
So, I mean, if we're talking about, so in the military, you don't have a choice. It's part of those of us that volunteered before 9/11, who thought we were actually going to go to war, and then ended up going to war, uh, as opposed to like vacationing at war. We all recognize that there is a likelihood that we would be somewhere that we weren't supposed to be or didn't want to be, away from our families, right? That's the kind of service that you do when you're a full-time active duty service member. And that's the expectation, right? When you transition to the civilian world, the understanding is that, like, if no one's life is on the line, then there's no need for you to do that kind of suffering, right?
Yeah.
And if the suffering is requested, right, because it's not required, if the suffering is requested, then you also have a right to say no to that, right? So that's when we talk about pay inequity. And so at some point in like my last organization, I was asked to do something that took time away from my kids and my family. And much like in the Marine Corps, I felt the need to do that, to make that investment because of the people that we would help, the people that were dependent upon us. Losing that level of ownership because you need someone to be in a building between the hours of 8 and 2, I think is preposterous and potentially, could your integrity could be questioned. Even if it's just about capitalism, that level of loyalty to a company is hard to find. And so, again, I believe that the best teams that I've seen have been teams that understand who each other are, regardless of their uniqueness, we'll call it at that. Very generally not homogeneous in any way, and therefore also exceptional. Yes, there does require generally a storming period for all highly functional teams, whether you're a SEAL team or whether you're in the Army. But at the end of the day, those teams that fight together, train together, those are the teams that do the best together. And without bias, they're absolutely more capable and competent. So I think we should, again, steer clear of whatever the labels are that we're putting on these things and recognize that we're all about the bottom line and succeeding in our efforts to win at whichever championship game we're trying to win at this point, right? Whether it's economics, whether it's integrity, whether it's your faith, we got to do the things that keep us true to the things that we are. And I think that this is just another example. Once you are aware of a thing, it's your responsibility to continue to witness and be aware of that thing. And I think that's the most important thing to remember, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And any tips that you have for women out there? I mean, despite all those challenges that we face, like what can they do, or what do you think they should do?
Oh my goodness. Don't stop trying. Dig in, reach out to your network. Like, as a woman, as a military type, as a mom, whatever it is that you want to be right now, reach out to your network. First of all, do not reach out just to give a sob story. When you reach out to people, reach out and you say, hey, here's the context. My name is this. I did this. Can you help me with this? So many people will appreciate that. Second, when you think about your network, don't just look around you and see the person that's to your left and right. Think about the person you see at the grocery store, potentially someone you never would have expected, who might share the same story with you if you've given them the opportunity to have that conversation. So do not bias yourself and ruin your opportunity, which could be the best opportunity to succeed. And then 3, give yourself a little bit of grace and a little bit of mercy. First of all, it's your life, right? Like, you are the star of this drama, whether you want it to be a documentary, a comedy, a rom-com, or a horror movie. You are the star. So set the tone for yourself. Yes, there are certain things that you cannot do and could be exceptionally impossible. There are certain walls that you might want to stick your head through. and I would support you at that. But at the same time, at the end of the day, you got to remember there are little people counting on you. The person to your left and your right's counting on you, and on the inside, put your mask on first. You got to count on you. So those are the three things. Did I
Love
answer
that.
your question?
That's incredible. Thank you so much for sharing. And before we end our call today, share a little bit with the audience what you do and how can people find you.
So my name is Elizabeth Stevens. I'm the CTO and founder of DBS Cyber. We are a company that believes in protecting families. We specialize in all things people, process, and tools, but mostly cybersecurity and AI. All of our product lines can be found at www.d as in Delta, B as in Bravo, S as in Sierra, DBS Cyber, CYBER.com. And I myself believe in all things empowerment and community. So if you need something or you have a question, please feel free to reach out. Do not let anyone tell you that you can't, because as I always say, it's always impossible until you do it. Keep up the good work. Give yourself a little bit of grace. And remember, somebody's got to be the first one.
That's incredible. And Elizabeth, thank you so much for being here with me today. I really enjoyed talking to you.
Thank you so much. And I hope to see you soon.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you so much for listening to another episode of From a Woman to a Leader. I hope you enjoyed the episode with Elizabeth. And before you go, I would love your feedback. What resonated with you today? What would you like to hear more of? And if this episode inspired you, please subscribe, leave a review, and also share it with another woman in tech who needs to hear it. And before you go, I just want to share a sneak peek about next week's episode with Shweta Behir. She's a senior engineering manager at Workday, and she talks about navigating motherhood, leadership, and self-doubt, especially the pressure to be perfect at everything. You'll definitely want to hear her story. It's raw, relatable, and packed with practical insights for working moms in tech. So stay tuned, and I'll see you next week. Thank you so much for listening. Bye-bye.